out in the shop, and it's been a little bit because my wife and I just had our first kid. So we've been pretty busy naturally, and it's nice to just take a break and finally get back out there and have a little project. This is going to be a little marble drop game for him. That way he can play it whenever he gets old enough. So right here I'm just cutting down my little side panels, my top and bottom, and a little edge piece to go on the front to hold the marbles in once they're in the bottom. Once I had all the pieces laid out and kind of mocked up together to see what it would look like, make sure the size was good, I grabbed my handy dandy stencil there and decided to put a round over on that front edge so I could wrap it with edge banding without having to put a corner on it. And now we're starting our assembly process, which is first going to be this bottom part, and then I'm going to move on to modifying a couple of these other pieces. But I'm going ahead and gluing and brad nailing all these pieces together. Even though the glue is probably not necessary, I just like putting it on there for peace of mind, I guess. Now I grab my little drill press jig for my drill and I start cutting out a bunch of little pucks that I'm going to drill the centers out of and use them as the little cups that will hold the marble and drop them down. I didn't go all the way through on that first pass because I didn't want a bunch of tear out on the back and have to deal with that somehow, or just waste a piece of plywood for that matter. This is one of those times where you really wish that you had a drill press or a benchtop sander. That way you could do this stuff relatively easy, but this is just goes to show you, you don't need fancy, expensive tools just to do a few simple things. It just makes stuff a little bit easier along the way. Now I'm using a 7/8 Forstner bit to go ahead and drill out the centers of these. And I'm not going all the way through. I'm leaving a little bit because I'm going to need to drill through that a 1/4 inch hole all the way through the back sides of these in a minute. That way my dowel rods have something to hold them up with. At this point, I was really wishing I had a drill press because I was so close to splitting the layers of plywood on these. It was not even funny. But I managed to get it done and it turned out fine. But I think if I make another one of these for a gift for somebody, I'm probably going to use solid wood on everything and make it an actual gift and not just a scrap plywood project. here I'm laying out kind of where I want these little cups to end up when they're in the box and installed. And I had to play with it a little bit just to get them where I wanted to make sure the marbles would fall in the right spot and you could actually catch them. But I think the spacing from one of them to the next one down on one side was 2.5 inches. I guess both sides, but 2.5 inches. And I just split the other row right in between every one of them to make sure. And I offset them, I believe, 2 inches front to back. That way it would account for the marble rolling out of the cup. When it came time to drill out all these holes for the dowels to go through, I figured I would save myself some time and make sure that my holes were exactly the same on either piece. But I ended up kind of coming back to bite me a little bit because I rushed through my second hole and I had a bad bit of tear out. You'll see in a little bit. I glued it back in and put tape on there, but I still ended up having to use a little bit of wood filler. But you kind of really have to look to notice that it's there. And this piece right here I'm working on is the bottom of the whole thing, and I'm drilling out little holes in the wrong spot. I'm not going all the way through, but I am hogging out some material for the marble to land in. And I put it right underneath where the dowel goes, so there's no accounting for the marble rolling out of the cup. And so I ended up actually covering this up with a smaller piece of plywood. You'll see later in the video the holes are just gone, but I put dividers over it, so now only the people that have watched this video know unless I tell them. This piece right here is the top, and I marked it out to where it's dead center of the actual box, and it's lined up with that top hole where the dowels go through. So you drop a marble in, and it lands right in that cup. But later on in the demonstration video, or I guess in the very opening of this video, you saw that I didn't put a marble through there because it was too small. That was because my marble that I had on hand is just a big marble, and I just wanted to show how the thing worked and what you were supposed to do with it. Eventually I'll get a pack of smaller marbles that my son will be able to use for this. Okay, so last night my phone died while I was doing the edge banding, so you didn't get to see all of it. But it's all pretty much the same. You just cut it a little longer than you want, put it where you want it, iron it on, and you're done. Then you trim it. So I went ahead and got that on to keep any splinters from poking anyone's hands when they're playing with this. So our next step is going to be cutting down yet another piece of scrap wood to make a couple little dividers in here. That way you can dump the marbles into when it gets to the bottom. Your eyes definitely did not deceive you in that last clip. That piece is very warped, but the pieces I'm cutting are so small, I'm not worried about it. and I figured might as well use it rather than throw it away, even though it is a piece of crap. See, there's that new bottom. I bet you already forgot about it, didn't you? No one would even know. Okay, our dividers are now in, and I have pre-cut all of my dowels that our cups will stay on. And what I'm going to do is just chuck these up in the drill and sand the insides of these from about an inch in from the end to an inch from the center on both sides. That way they slide smooth in these 1/4 inch holes. Okay, I think it's about time we cut this clip short. That's enough of you guys watching me rub my rod. Now that I got all these dowels in and all the cups are on, they all move freely and they've been sanded to where they can really turn good. The last 2 steps that I'm going to do is to put a small round over on this hole in the top where the marble will drop in. Then I'm going to wax all of these rods on the side so they slide even better. The wax I'm using is just a paste finishing wax. It's actually really good for not only finishing wood, it's good for putting on the surfaces of your tools where your wood slides, like my router table and my table saw. Especially, it just helps everything glide really nice across. And you can put it on the bottom of your crosscut sleds too, and it really makes life easier. Alright, that wraps this one up. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this. It was certainly fun to make. I just had my first son about 2 weeks ago, and I'm really excited to be on this endeavor. And I wanted to make something for him to play with when he's old enough to. So this will help him build some hand-eye coordination and, critical thinking skills, hopefully. Fingers crossed. But I think in the future I'm going to paint the bottoms of these little trays in here different colors so he can sort the marbles as they get down. And that's it, I think. Only other thing is stay tuned. If you enjoyed the cabinet video I had, I'm going to be making the drawers for those in the next couple weeks whenever I get some more time to come out here, a little longer durations. This was just a little project I wanted to do for him because I knew I had the materials for it. The only materials I did buy for it was the dowel rod and the edge banding. I put that edge banding on there so there weren't any splinters and had the possibility of poking them or anything. So stay tuned for those drawers if that's what you're interested in, and I'll see you next time.